welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to take a journey deep inside your own body. We're going to uncover the tiny microscopic secrets of how you, yes you, turn the food you eat and the air you breathe into the very power for life itself. So, where does all that energy come from? You know, the power to just function? It seems like a simple question, right? But the answer? Wow. It's this incredible story of biological engineering. And it's happening trillions of times a second inside you right now. Okay, let's dive in. So first things first, you gotta understand that our bodies are smart. They don't just have one trick up their sleeve for getting energy. They've got a whole toolkit. We're talking about 5 main strategies, the body's master plan really, and it pulls out the right one depending on exactly what you're doing. And that toolkit has everything. I mean, from the slow, steady burn of your fat reserves to that instant jolt of power your muscles need to contract. But here's the thing. While all these are super important, they all boil down to one fundamental process: turning food into fuel, deep down at the cellular level. And that's our focus today. We're going right to the main event.
All right, so let's start where it all begins, with the food on your plate. Our journey kicks off the moment you eat, because your body has to break that food down and pick out the perfect fuel for your cells. And you've got options. Your body can burn carbs, fats, even proteins if it has to. But the number one draft pick, the preferred, ready-to-go fuel for your cells, it's a simple sugar called glucose. Okay, so we've got our glucose. Now let's zoom in. I mean, way in. We're going past the organs, past the tissues, deep inside a single tiny cell to find the engine room, the place where this glucose fuel gets turned into actual, usable power. And here it is. Meet the hero of our story, the mitochondrion. You might have heard it called the powerhouse of the cell, and for good reason. This tiny structure has the absolutely monumental task of powering, well, everything you do. So how does it do it? Well, this whole energy conversion process plays out in 3 main acts, like a play, and each act takes place in a very specific part of the cell. So come on, let's follow a single molecule of glucose on its journey. Act 1. First up, out in the cell's main fluid, the cytoplasm, our glucose molecule gets split right in half. This creates 2 new molecules called pyruvate, and we get a little spark of energy, just a little. But the real prize, the mother lode of energy, is still locked away inside that pyruvate. So here's the puzzle. How does that pyruvate get inside the powerhouse? The inner wall of the mitochondrion is super selective. It's like a high security fence. So how does our little molecule get past the guards and into the main event? It has a special key, or more like a special doorway. It's a protein called the mitochondrial pyruvate carrier, or MPC. And you can think of it like a bouncer at a club. It's got a list, it's only looking for pyruvate, and when it sees it, it grabs it and pulls it right inside. Once it's inside, boom, a quick chemical tweak converts the pyruvate into something called acetyl-CoA. This is the molecule that officially kicks off Act 2, the Krebs Cycle. And the whole point of this cycle? To harvest high-energy electrons. And that brings us to the grand finale, Act 3, the Electron Transport Chain. And let me tell you, this is where the energy explosion really happens. Okay, so remember those high-energy electrons we harvested? They get passed down a line of proteins, almost like a bucket brigade or an electrical current. And this current powers a molecular machine that just churns out a massive amount of ATP. And ATP, that's the direct energy currency of your cells. We're talking 30 to 32 units for just one glucose molecule. This is the enormous payoff the cell has been working for. But wait, this whole beautiful, high-efficiency process, it depends entirely on one key ingredient we haven't even mentioned yet, and that's oxygen. Now, there's a really common misconception that we burn oxygen for fuel, like a fire burns wood. But that's not quite right. Its job is actually way more specific and honestly way more critical. Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. With oxygen, you get a complete breakdown of glucose and that massive ATP payout. But without oxygen, the whole process just stalls. It gets stuck after that first step, leaving almost all of that potential energy completely untapped. So what is oxygen's job? It's the cleanup crew. At the very end of that electron transport chain, oxygen is waiting. Its job is to grab those used up electrons, get them out of the way, and in the process, it combines with them to form water. By clearing the path, it keeps the whole energy assembly line moving smoothly. And that brings up a really curious question, doesn't it? If our cells are constantly making water every single second as a byproduct of creating energy, then why on earth do we get thirsty? Why do we have to drink so much of it?
Well, the answer, like a lot of things in biology, comes down to simple math, to scale. That water our cells are making, it's a tiny amount. It only accounts for about 10, maybe 12% of what our body actually needs every day.
I mean, think about it. We are constantly losing water through sweat, breathing, you name it. And our bodies need vast amounts of water to run everything. Your blood is mostly water, your cells are mostly water, it regulates your temperature, aids digestion, transports nutrients. The list goes on and on. The water made by our little mitochondria, it's literally just a drop in the bucket. So the big takeaway here is pretty simple. Yeah, your cells are amazing little water factories, but they just can't keep up. They can't possibly make enough to replace what your larger body systems use and lose every single day. That's why drinking water is so essential. So just think about that for a second. Right now, as you're watching this, your trillions of cellular engines are running at full tilt. This incredible, complex process is happening in nearly every cell in your body. It's the fundamental power source behind every thought you have, every move you make, every single heartbeat. So the question is, what are you going to do with all that energy?